Small talk, two words that can make an introvert's stomach drop faster than hearing, "Let's go around the room and introduce ourselves." The weather, the weekend, the awkward pause, and that eternal dreaded question, "So, what do you do?" For some people, small talk is easy background noise, but for others, it feels like a slow, quiet form of psychological torture. Why is it so unbearable? And more importantly, how can you move beyond it without forcing yourself to fake smiles or run out of the room? If you're new here, welcome to the Old Soul's Guide, where we dive deeper than the surface and explore practical wisdom for living with more authenticity and meaning. If that's your kind of thing, don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you won't miss future insights. Today, let's break down why small talk feels so unnatural, what's really going on in your brain, and how to turn these draining encounters into something meaningful without selling your soul in the process. Part 1. The pain of small talk. Let's start with the obvious. Why does small talk feel so torturous? At first glance, it doesn't seem like it should be that bad. You're just exchanging pleasantries, harmless surface-level chatter. But for many people, especially introverts and deep thinkers, small talk hits a nerve. Here's why. It lacks depth. Small talk revolves around trivial details, weather updates, traffic complaints, housework, on repeat. For those wired to crave meaning and substance, this feels like eating cotton candy when you're starving for a real meal. It feels scripted. Most small talk is recycled and predictable. You already know how the other person will answer, "Busy, but good." "Yeah, traffic was crazy." "Can't believe it's Monday." It's not a conversation. It's a performance. It drains your energy. Small talk requires constant social effort, reading cues, forcing polite reactions, pretending to care about topics you don't. For introverts, this isn't neutral. It's exhausting. It triggers overthinking. While extroverts may glide through small talk like a dance, introverts often second-guess themselves. Did I say that right? Do they think I'm weird? Should I ask another question or just smile awkwardly? Suddenly, what should be a 2-minute chat feels like surviving a quiz show. So no, it's not just small talk. For some people, it's like being trapped in an elevator with a broken radio playing static. You can't tune in, but you can't escape. Part 2. The psychology of small talk. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The reason small talk feels unbearable isn't just a personality quirk, it's rooted in psychology and biology. 1. The depth-oriented brain. Research shows that introverts process information more deeply. They are less stimulated by casual chatter and more drawn to conversations with emotional or intellectual weight. In other words, they'd rather discuss what gives life meaning than what the traffic was like on the freeway. 2. Dopamine sensitivity. Extroverts get more reward from novelty and social stimulation. Small talk, even about the weather, gives their brain a little dopamine hit. Introverts, not so much. Their reward system is tuned differently. So instead of feeling energized, they feel flatlined. 3. The authenticity filter. Many introverts and old souls value authenticity. When small talk feels fake, pointless, or disconnected from reality, it clashes with this inner compass. It's not just boring, it feels dishonest. And here's the paradox. People think small talk is harmless, but for those wired differently, it's like nails on a chalkboard to the nervous system. Part 3. Why small talk exists. But before we declare small talk the enemy, we need to understand why it exists in the first place. Small talk is not about the weather, it's about safety. Think of it as social lubrication, a way for strangers, or even acquaintances, to test the waters. It's like shaking hands before you wrestle. Nobody wants to dive into childhood trauma or philosophy with someone they just met. Anthropologists argue that small talk evolved as a bonding ritual. By talking about neutral topics, humans signaled, "I'm not a threat. You're safe with me." So small talk is less about words and more about connection. It's a doorway, not a destination. The problem comes when you get stuck in that doorway, pacing back and forth, never actually entering the room of deeper conversation. Part 4. The toll of staying in the doorway. Here's why this matters. Staying trapped in small talk can leave you feeling invisible. You nod, smile, and answer politely, but your inner world stays hidden. Your passions, your questions, your soul. And over time, this creates disconnection. You walk away from social encounters feeling drained, not because you're antisocial, but because your hunger for real connection was never fed. This is why so many introverts leave parties thinking that was exhausting, but also kind of lonely. Part 5. What to do instead. So now comes the real question. What can you do instead? How do you survive or even thrive in a world that runs on small talk? Here are some powerful shifts. 1. Reframe small talk as a bridge. Instead of seeing small talk as torture, see it as a stepping stone. It's not the end game. It's just the warm-up. Think of it like knocking on a door. The weather question, the how was your weekend opener, those are just knocks. Once the door is open, you can step inside and guide the conversation somewhere more meaningful. 2. Ask better questions. If small talk feels shallow, level it up. Move from closed questions, busy day, to open ones. What's been the best part of your week so far? What's something you're looking forward to? What's keeping you inspired lately? These subtle shifts turn autopilot chatter into real conversation. 3. Use the power of self-disclosure. People open up when you open up first. Instead of waiting for magic, plant the seed. If someone asks, "How are you?" don't say, "Fine." Say, "Honestly, a little tired, but I've been excited about this new project I'm working on." By sharing something real, you invite the other person to meet you there. 4. Learn to pivot gracefully. Not every conversation will go deep, and that's okay. The skill is knowing when to pivot. You can gently guide small talk into richer waters by listening for openings. If someone mentions their weekend, you can ask, "What do you usually do to recharge?" A question that hints at values, not just activities. 5. Accept that not everyone will go deep. Here's a truth bomb. Not everyone wants or is capable of depth, and forcing it only creates tension. Sometimes you'll have to accept small talk for what it is, a polite dance, a quick handshake, a passing wave. The key is not to expect every encounter to feed your soul. Save that energy for the people and conversations that can. Part 6. The Old Soul Advantage. Here's where the old soul perspective flips the script. You don't have to be good at small talk. You just have to be good at connection. While others may thrive on surface chatter, you thrive on depth. And that's not a weakness. That's your edge. Because when you do steer a conversation into real territory, when you ask the question that makes someone pause and actually think, you leave an impact. You become memorable. You give people a taste of something rare, authenticity. And in a world drowning in small talk, authenticity is magnetic. Part 7. Practical scenarios. Let's bring this down to earth with some examples. At work, instead of busy day, try, what part of this project do you find most interesting? At a party, if someone mentions music, ask, what's a song that always changes your mood? Networking, instead of what do you do, ask, what do you enjoy most about your work? These small tweaks take you from draining loops to meaningful exchanges. Small talk isn't evil, it's just incomplete. It's the knock at the door, not the dinner inside. It's the appetizer, not the main course. For old souls, introverts, and deep thinkers, it will never be satisfying on its own. But with the right mindset and a few intentional shifts, you can turn it into a pathway toward the conversations you crave, the ones that nourish, energize, and remind you why connecting with others is worth it. So the next time you're trapped in weather talk, don't panic. Smile, breathe, and remember, the doorway is open. You just have to walk through. If this resonated with you, and you're tired of conversations that leave you empty, hit subscribe and stay tuned. Because here, we don't settle for surface. We dive deep.